Automation Nation, back to the shop. I don't have heat in this shop, and we just had a temperature drop, so I'm freezing my ass off in here. But I got a quick little project to do. We're going to be making a, it's going to be an anchor that connects to an I-beam. It's for a CrossFit gym. So I had to go and get some measurements of the I-beam, figure out what's going to be the best way to anchor this thing down. Initially I was thinking I'm going to have to drill through the I-beam and bolt this thing in place, but I put a little bit more thought into it, and I think I thought of a way that I can actually clamp it to the I-beam. The I-beam itself is about 7 inches wide, and it's probably about a good 10 to 12 inches tall, so it's a huge I-beam. Originally they just wanted one anchor point at the top, at the very top of the ceiling, so that they can hook a rope onto it and climb it. It's some type of a fitness movement, I guess you could say. But it's not easy. If you've ever tried climbing a rope, I think they're called battle ropes. I think that's the actual official term is a battle rope. But if you ever tried climbing one of those things, it's not as easy as it looks. So you definitely do get a workout. They have them in there right now, but they're just connected to the actual rack, and the rack is only maybe like 10 to 12 feet tall. So they're not getting the maximum capability out of their space. So what we're going to build today is an anchor point that gets mounted, bolted, or clamped to the very top of the I-beam, which will maximize the space that they have in the room. It'll allow them to attach and anchor the rope to the very top of the ceiling that they have. When I first looked at it, they only wanted one, and I thought it really wouldn't be that much more work, and it would probably actually be stronger and more stable to have two. There's a couple ideas we tossed around, but what we landed on was one solid, it's going to be about 6 foot piece of square tubing, and in the center of that square tubing is where we're going to clamp onto the I-beam. And that way you get off that I-beam on both sides of the I-beam, you're going to have 2 drops where you can anchor a battle rope to. So it's not going to be a difficult build. It's going to be pretty simple. I just got to get the clamping piece of it right. I have it in my head. I've drawn it out and gone through it, and I think I know how I'm going to do it. Basically, I'm going to be using a plate on the bottom that will go underneath the lip of the I-beam, and I'm going to thread that plate and then run bolts through the bottom of that plate. And those bolts are what's going to clamp onto the I-beam lip. And if I do that on both sides of the I-beam, we won't have any, there won't be any room for it to actually slip off the I-beam, and then the bolts are just going to secure it in place so it doesn't wiggle around. So it sounds kind of complicated, but I think I got it all figured out. It's really not that. It's actually pretty simple. So today we're going to be drilling. We're going to be tapping again. I'm going to be going with 5/8 bolts, just like I did with the strongman lift, or the strongman carry that we built. We tapped and drilled 5/8. I'm already set up for all that, so I'm going to go ahead and go with 5/8, and that's going to be plenty strong enough. We're going to cut some square tubing on the bandsaw, drill, tap, and then weld the pieces together, and that'll be a done deal. Oh, and the last thing is we're going to have to bend some round solid stock, round solid bar to make the actual anchor points. We'll have to drill through the tubing for that and then weld it in place. So this one build, it's a simple build, but you get a little bit of everything: drill, tap, cutting, bending, heating, welding. So it's kind of a cool little project because it's almost all capabilities all wrapped up into one little project. So all right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for staying with me. Please like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends about us. Number 2. Okay, we've got our anchoring points here. We're gonna let these cool down, and then we're gonna go cut the excess off. And then whenever we put these in the square tubing, we're gonna drill straight through the square tubing, shove these in here, and weld them from the top and the bottom. Just make them extra rigid, extra strong. It'll have a total of 2, actually 4 welded spots per anchor, so they're gonna be super, super strong, and don't have to worry about nobody yanking these things off. Which, if you look at the battle ropes anyways, the anchoring point on the battle rope is pretty cheesy. So if anything's gonna fail, the anchoring, the D-ring on the battle rope itself will bust before my stuff will ever bust. So whoever's building those battle ropes probably needs to step it up a little bit. All right. Let's head over to the bandsaw.